So, what? Who are you gonna go to internships with? Mom and dad? What? I thought you would go with like I don't know, someone. I don't know, dude. Our parents. I know. I know who they are. What? You're not gonna go with them? No. Why not? Because because Headshot sent me over like he want me. What? Because you beat like Kaminari? Yeah, and then I got beat by Tokoyami, but that don't matter. Hey, you still had a good showing. I mean, don't put yourself down. Yeah, but I can't say anything about that to you. You made it nearly the end, man. You nearly won. Yeah, yeah. Doesn't mean I was also doing that injured. I had to chill down on my fighting. I know, but you still nearly won. That's good enough by my part. Yeah, whatever. Why did you wake me up? Oh, I couldn't sleep. Why not just lay there? Have you been seeing? I don't. What? You have a girlfriend now. Call her. I'm doing like that. I don't know who. I know you have one. I forget her name. Yui? Yui? Size changing girl? Oh, that's her name. Yeah, her. And she, your girlfriend? Yeah, it is. She is. They are. I don't know. Just ask her to stay up with you, talk to you, whatever, instead of waking me up. You do realize today, y- today's Sunday. I know. You got to travel to Headshot's thing in the morning. Uh-huh. Why can't you let me sleep? Because I don't want you to. Beesh, get out. I'm gonna tell you embarrassing things about you. Okay, I'm going. Cool. At least I didn't get naked with our aunt. It was a fight. Hi, it's me, We Anime. I'm here to bring We Anime Anime We. I'm the same person, just two separate channels. I can't get in my last one. I've never explained that until now. I've not been able to get into my last like account, my last channel, Anime We, for a long time. Um, Either way, hi, it's me, We Anime We. I'm here to bring you part four. Yeah, it's four of What If Deku had uh had a gravity quirk. That's what it's called. But yeah, hi, part four. Today we're going over the Hosu City incident arc. Um, Stain. Okay. Uh, Hero Unaliver. I don't know if that word is allowed. Um, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do today. Um, yeah, there's a couple things. One, uh, I don't use scripts in my videos, so if I go quiet, as you all know, I do. I don't use scripts, so blame that on that. I do impressions, kind of just trying to fit my voice with the character. Yeah. And if you have any what if ideas, put them down below. I'll put them on the list. I have a list of what if ideas of multiple, like variety, that I that are from you all that I haven't done or will do or have done, whatever it may be. Um, what if ideas, what if suggestions? Yeah, do the YouTube things. I'd greatly appreciate it. And and um, if hold on, I'm trying to think. Crap, I don't remember what I was gonna say. I don't remember. Background noise. That's it. Something like that. Background noise might be apparent throughout the video. Okay, but either way, I say we can jump straight into it. But first, let me get a drink of water. We're gonna first start this video off a couple days before the actual start of the internships. Um, Friday, the day of the hero name selection. Okay, so as they would be doing it, midnight, Mount Lady would rush in, doing flaunting their things, hey, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why. But yeah, telling them the students all about it, right? And yeah, people, other students um, would go up, showing off their names and whatnot, um, right? But eventually it would come to Midoriya, who would be around the last one, probably the last one. He would go up, he would hold it out, and he would say, "The unforgiving force hero, crash out." And then he would go and say, it was either crash out or crash down. Either or would make sense. But yeah. Then Midnight would say, "Crash out? What does that mean?" Like anger. He would yawn. What does it mean you're angry like sleeping? No, 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 no. It means like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I remember. 2000s, like the 2020s, they use that type of slang. Yep, I know what you're talking about now. Okay. Um, yeah, it also has to do with my anger issues. Wait, no, wait, really? You have anger issues? Really? Auntie? Auntie? You really want to start this now? And then Aizawa would walk in to them two arguing, like everyone else having like sweat drops. Shinso has his face like in his arms, face down on his desk, shaking his head. No, he would be hitting the Higuruma. You know how he kind of just pulls. Well, we all know what the Higuruma face, where he's all tired of it and just kind of pulls out his eyes. Yeah, he'd be hitting one of those. And then Aizawa would say, "Would you two quit fighting? We don't need to. We don't need it to end up like last time, where you all ended up nude." And then they would both start yelling at him, like, "Why did you say that? That was supposed to stay behind in the past. We would never talk to it." They never talked about it after that. They were then they would start like both faces would go red and start like blushing and like they would both start getting in their like face, as I would say, "Oh God, what have I done?" And then like he would think a minute while just kind of like tiredly like uh, he would walk up to these two. Like Midnight would walk to him first. They'd meet halfway, and then Asta, um, Deku, I mean Izuku would rush up first, like right after, and then um, Aizawa would look at one of the students and like wave him over, and he'd hand him the cup of coffee and like some papers, like hold that, and then he'd take both hands and just grab these two by the shoulders and just turn them and push them like at each other. Now, given, I think they might be relative height. Okay, not really. Actually, how tall is midnight? Um, how tall? 5'9", just a couple inches taller than him. So as that would happen, Izuku's face would get pushed into the breast area, chest area of Midnight, while Midnight's head would just collide with Izuku's. And then what would happen would be after just Midnight would crouch down and just start holding her head. Izuku would do the same, holding his face, just fully blushing. And then Aizo would say, "Okay, thank you, Ida." He would grab his stuff bag and just head to the desk podium thing. And yeah, the start of the internships would be where we are now. Throughout like um midday afternoon, um Miss Joke, I don't believe would have classes because maybe well her like students would have um like their own internships, right? I feel like they would have their internships. I feel like they would, right? I feel like they would. Maybe they don't. The first years would, but Miss Joke teaches third years, so she wouldn't be. Maybe she would still be teaching. Probably would. So she would have classes from like 8 to 3 or 4 for like actually in a university. I don't know how universities work. Um, I'm sorry. I think she would still have a couple lessons to teach, if I'm not mistaken. So he'd probably still teach throughout the regular time. Um, and then by the time she would get back, she'd go on patrol with Izuku. So that's how that would happen throughout like the middle day. Um, right. But uh, so how the day would go on would be afternoon-ish for a couple hours. He would go out with um on patrol with Miss Joke Imi Fukudo. I'm probably butchering her name, sorry. But throughout the middle day, hero costume, going out, switching up patrol routes, making sure every person is good and would eat a little lunch, right? Excuse me. But then um once he would get home, probably around 6:30 ish, 6 6:30 or 7 o'clock later in the day, waiting for it to come to nightfall for going on patrol with his father. Um, right. Throughout the night, it would be nothing at night, not really. Maybe one suspicious dude just walking throughout an alleyway, but nothing else. Um, and during the day, like the daylight hours, nothing happened. Maybe a purse snatching, but that's really it. And that's how the next day would go as well. But for this third day of the week of internships would be way different for the two later on in the day. Way different. Way, way different. See, throughout the day, they were daylight hours. Nothing would have happened. Maybe another like purse or wallet snatching or stealing, like someone stealing a phone or just a minor thing would happen, right? But once it would come to nighttime, that would all change. Because Aizawa got a call to head to Hosu and help a group of heroes look for the hero killer, Stain, from his like up last known location being in Hosu, right? So what would happen? They would head there, but not to the same big group of no move fighters. See, these two didn't know that was happening. So they were on their regular patrol or just walk around throughout a little bit of an area, maybe probably on the opposite side of the main thing at this current moment of like the bunch of no moves um making a big old ruckus, right? Um and so with that, then a screen, well, during that time a scream. They would hear a scream echo through, like, farther into the city because they were on the outskirts on the opposite side, right? So they would hear the scream, they would go rushing to it, and then Izuku would say, "Let's get on the roofs. It would be way easier." So Izuku would just float them both up onto buildings as they would both launch themselves from building to building, eventually making it to where they thought the scream came from. They knew it was from this direction, so they just headed in it, and there were only one like scream, but it was quite loud, and it was of just like scream and then help me, um, and that's all that they heard before it just quit, right? So as that would happen after they would start heading that way, um, eventually passing over a alleyway that had a dead end, like a building cut it off with a door at the end of it. They would look back because they, like, Izuku would say, "Wait, something's down there." Someone, he would say. He would briefly like glimpse it as he would like jump over the alleyway. And so he turned back around and he would say, "They're here," as they would both float down quite gracefully or just plain out jump down, um, and just crash down, mostly like quite fluently, just not a rough landing, like akin to Knuckle Duster just aiming for a bunch of trash bags. Right. So as that would happen, boom, landing, Izuku would rush over to the person with wide eyes as he would try to go feel for a pulse. Nothing. And then he would flip the hero over, not recognizing them based off of their looks, but flipping them over, being a male hero. There would be two massive wounds, one at the stomach area from like back of the rib cage all the way round to the other side, like not fully on like equal to the farthest like side of the torso, but on like the right side it would only go like halfway, but the other side it would go fully from like back, nearing the back all the way around to halfway on like the front stomach sideways on the side. Okay. And then one across the throat where you could visibly see in it like the vocal cords fully gone and the throat being fully like opened and you could be able to see the bone, right? And we all know, just viscera and entrails all just all over, some most of them hanging out. Who would have done this? Izuku would say, and Aizawa would say, pretty self-explanatory. It was Stain. Izuku would stand up Just scratch the back of his head. Huh. Do you know this hero? No, not at all. I don't know. Probably a new one. And I don't recognize the face. They look pretty young, so they're not from UA. Probably Shiketsu or somewhere like that. Probably another hero school, not UA. Probably moved by this point. And as Aizawa would turn, a knife would fly straight past his face, just slamming into the wooden door. Oh, oh man, I missed. How tragic. You're Eraserhead, I presume? Maybe I am. Who would you be? Oh, don't play coy with me. We both know you already know who I am. As he would walk out of the shadowed carpet, no, shadowed like part of it, of the alleyway, into a semi opened light, but not really. Moon would be shining down. Moonlight. Um, Stain would go on to have his speech on whatever it is. I don't remember it, honestly. But either way, that's where it would start. The fight would start within an instant. Aizawa and Stain launching themselves at each other. Aizawa even pulling out a larger blade of his own as they would both clash weapons, just trying to fight over control, the katana and the like machete sized blade. But then, unluckily for Stain, a field of gravity would be pushing him down, just straight to the ground, crushing him against the concrete. Hey, don't you dare forget about me. Oh, so another hero wants to play, well, hero. You're just a kid. A given. I'm not afraid of hurting kids. But I want to know what type of hero you are. What are you aiming for? The other one just wanted revenge. How about you? What would I tell you? Do you want my blade at your neck? I doubt you could get it up. There's 500 pounds pushing on you, and a, within a second, it will go triple that amount. So it's you. You're the one who's doing this. I should have guessed that, honestly. He's like, I know, Eraserhead. You're just canceling my quirk. So I just gotta go lethal. So you let instead of letting you bleed out. You know, that other group of heroes looking for me. Multiple are down, probably bleeding out as we speak. Stupid Ingenium. First one, didn't like, wasn't a true hero like All Might is. And then a foot would just stomp on the back of his head. Aizawa being the one to do so. Shut up. Done hearing you talk. As he would go to cuff Stain with a flick of a finger, a blade would be stuck into the wrist of Aizawa. As he would pull back, looking at his wrist, well, not wrist, but like forearm area, then looking back at Stain, Stain would just smile a big grin, and as he would he would stand up, not fully, but go to, as Izuku would say, "No way." Boom, pushing him down even more. The concrete would crack even more, and then even more. 2000. But Stain would keep on trying, trying his best. I will not let some fake wannabe hero beat me. He would fully stand, but shakily on his feet, his sword in hand. As he would go to take a step, it would land with a thud, and then another. As I was, I then would say, "More weight now." 2,000 pounds would go up to 4,000. You could visibly see just fully Stain's just body be pushed down into just the ground. You are the main issue. You want to be. And so, with another flick of a finger, flick of the wrist, a blade would go straight for Izuku, but ding, it would just ding off of uh the weighted metal gauntlets. Yeah, no. A little bit more for your trouble. And another one would be thrown at him. It would just be deflected by Izuku off of the other, like off of his, away from him. I not you defeat me. Just a large yell. I'm not doing that. I don't have the vocal capacity at the current moment to do so. Either way, he'd keep on making his steps closer and closer to Stain. No, not to Stain. Stain would make his steps closer to Izuku, but the field would just widen and widen, making it farther but less weight. Instead of a large weighted, like focused, small pressure, it would just turn into a larger, less weighted, um, like thing. That's what happens when Izuku would start off with a like a focused area of pressure and try to widen it instead of just starting with a widened one and just closing it in, right? The smaller one would just let the weight like divide itself kind of like a cup of water into a bowl, how it would want to spread out instead of being just large in this one area. Okay, that's how it would be. But either way, Stain would still walk more and more. And then another knife, two at the same time, and then a third. Izuku would block these two away as the third would fly, embedding itself into Aizawa, who would jump in front. It would just go into like the side of his like stomach. It would stick in though, like the what love handles are. They're just like at the waist. Just boom. Izuku would be caught off guard, and so he would let it down. As another knife would be thrown, it would hit Aizawa in the shoulder, and then just a punch to the face by staying to Aizawa would send him away. See now, Stain, he I feel like he would know about Aizawa. So he'd probably know like what type of hero he is. He'd probably like him, right? Probably. I'm gonna say he does. So he's not gonna off Aizawa, but this kid, this kid gonna get it. You're next. As quickly as Izuku could, he'd reach into his pocket or just reach behind him into a small baggie, like a big satchel, not big, but a small one, reaching into it and then going. He'd just throw whatever is in his hand in front of at Stain's face. Small black orbs with like a red stripe is what it would be as they would fly. As they would make contact with Stain, either with the sword just cutting them away, or cutting them, or full on face contact, boom, they would explode into a fiery fashion, blowing both people away, blowing Izuku back into the alley, like boom against the wall. Same with Stain, just a little bit farther away down the alleyway. Izuku would say, well, not out loud, but he would look at his dad, who would be trying to get back up, holding both like wounds, looking at him, trying to do something with them. Up, he then would say, "You pissed off the wrong kid. I'm not even a kid. I'm an adult." So he would, boom, boom, both gauntlets would fall off, and once they would, as they would hit the ground, concrete would crack. As I would look back in his head, he would say, "Did he get those heavier?" Oh, they're 200 pounds now. So yeah, probably like 180 actually is how much they would actually weigh, not 200. And then using his quirk, lightening himself up, lessening his weight, boom, blasting forward, High. No, not high velocity. Was it high velocity? It was high velocity. High velocity strike. And he would connect with um Stain's face, blowing him away. Gravity would even push him away even farther. That wouldn't stop with Izuku's onslaught. He would deliver many blows within a short amount of time, this being a unrestricted beat down, just one after another, after another, after another, not giving Stain any time to move. Him just beating on him with knees, elbows, just punches with his head, just as the finisher. Stain would falter, nearly fall, but catch himself on the ground as then Izuku would boom up in the air. And then, like Seth Rollins, just curb stomp this man into the dirt. Just boom. Bro's been watching too much of Seth Rollins these days, huh? Just stomping him into the ground, foot on the back of the head, just boom. This would definitely break like Stain's like orbital bone, probably cracking his face open, cracking his skull. This would knock him out. You could see like a slight just, you know how in anime, when someone's angry and their like entire face, like entire like their eyes go white. That's what would be happening. Like things just kind of turned off for Izuku and just pure anger came up flooding. Dad, he would rush over to Aizawa and say, "Are you okay? Hey, hey, I'm fine. Good job." He then would just quickly just wrap um Aizawa into a hug, tearing up, just yeah. And yeah, they defeated they defeated Stain. Not really much else about it. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna end it here for today. Um, hope you all enjoyed. Remember, if you have what if suggestions, ideas, whatever it may be, put them down below. Rate the video 1 through 10. I don't know what, like 1 through 10, like pineapples. Yeah, do that. Um, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Roll the dice. Bye bye.